This is the San Diego Young Republicans podcast. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the San Diego Young Republicans podcast. I'm your host, Cynthia Kaui, and I'm the president and chairwoman of San Diego Young Republicans.
Hi, everyone. I'm Hayley Marting. I am the communications director for the San Diego Young Republicans.
And tonight we're very excited to introduce our guest, Assemblymember Laurie Davies, who represents District 74, and we're also really proud to endorse and support her re-election campaign. Welcome, Assemblymember.
Hi, everyone, and again, thank you so much for the support. It really means a lot.
Perfect. So I'm going to have Hayley kick it off with our first question.
Well, thank you again for being here. We really appreciate it. Just to kind of start us off, what was the first issue or experience that you had that really motivated you to get involved in politics?
Well, it was actually when they were going to recall Gray Davis.
Oh.
So it was kind of back then, and I had a business, and just really kind of realizing what was happening at the state level. And a friend of mine just said, hey, listen to KF5, started listening to that and just really got involved. And then I ran into a woman that worked at, or was a Republican ladies group of Laguna Niguel. So she invited me to one of the meetings, and that goes, you go to the first meeting and I turn around and all of a sudden I'm now, Ways and Means. And so got involved there. And we just had, in Laguna Niguel, we've had such incredible electeds, especially women, that have been up there, from Pat Bates to Linda Lindholm. Diane Harkey was part of the group there, and just really motivated me. And I realized I come from Wisconsin. I love Laguna Niguel, and I wanted to make sure that, I have the opportunity to retire in Laguna Niguel. This is my home. And I was watching things that were happening up at the state. So I really realized how important local control was. And that's when I got invested in running for city council in 2012.
Perfect. And for those that also don't know your story, you mentioned you started at the local level and then you worked your way to be able to reach the state level. And I know for us, both being women in politics, you're such a huge inspiration for stepping up to be in this environment, in this space where there isn't that many women involved. So we appreciate and consider you a huge role model. So for those that also don't know, there was a summer recess for the legislative reception, and now the legislators are back in Sacramento for the most part, and it's usually a pretty hectic around this time because that's where everyone is rushing to finish up all their last minute bills and things of that nature to see what passes all the houses and ended up at the governor's desk. So in contrast to all the other sessions that's going on, how would you rank this legislative reception for yourself and the Republican caucus?
You know what? I think it's probably the best one we've had in a very long time, since the supermajority has ruled. And, that question was always like, how long is it going to take for that pendulum to come back? How long is it going to take for Californians to understand that everything that's happening to them is because of what's happening in Sacramento? I always tell people aren't moving out of California because who their congressperson is. It's who their assembly and senator is, because 90% of what happens to us every day, from finances, your business, your safety, your kids' education, all of this is decided there. And that's really what's sending people leaving California. So we were able to stop some really bad bills, which was quite amazing. And I think probably one of the biggest wins is that we were able to make sure that we got the reform of Prop 47, which is now Prop 36, we got that on the ballot. And in June, at the end of June, they tried everything they could to completely, do it under. Even though we knew we had the votes, they had the signatures that was in there. They first then came up with a couple Democratic retail theft bills. And they were good bills, but of course they only took the Democratic bills. And then what they did is they said, "Oh, we're going to put a poison pill in here. If we pass these retail bills, and the proposition wins, these retail bills will be nil and none." So they could have easily done a statement like this. This will go ahead and kill these beautiful retail bills that would start immediately if you passed fix. So we were able to stop that. We put the pressure, we got the word out there, public knew what was going on, and really worked well where they actually took the poison pill out. And I have to tell you, we all voted on all of those this week and last week. And it was quite amazing because it was the very progressive members that these were their bills because they figured they'd never go anywhere. And here they are having to actually go behind there and push this bill that is absolutely everything they didn't want to do. You know, there's felonies involved, there's harsh punishment. And I'm like, it's got to be tough on them actually, now actually having to ask for us to an aye on a vote that a bill that they didn't want. So that was huge. And then the governor tried to do his own initiative at the last minute that would counteract the Prop 47 that we were getting on there. We were able to put pressure on him. He got a call from President Biden and took off, and the time ran out. So I think that was huge. And we've been able to stop a lot of other bills. And I think you've probably seen the news. We actually have one more Republican senator who decided to go from Democrat to Republican a couple of weeks ago because it's not the Democratic Party. And people are waking up and realizing, because we are messaging now, we are letting them know who are the members that are voting like that. Before, they just hid behind the curtain. Nobody knew. As soon as you start putting their picture out there and their phone numbers to their offices and their emails, it's amazing how they start changing their votes.
No, absolutely. I remember watching that news, and it's kind of one of those situations where you don't know if it's real life or not, but it was incredible to see someone change their party affiliation because that's not the Democrat Party that they grew up with. And it just shows like the direction, what the state is going through, and also just how radical the modern day Democrat Party is. So I appreciate you sharing all of those wins. I agreed. It just shows like how much progress the Republican caucus and yourself has made. So that being said, for you personally, Assemblymember, is there any specific legislation that you either personally authored or even co-authored where you worked across the aisle with Republicans or Democrats that you're looking forward to seeing the governor sign into law?
I can tell you this is my second term. So my first term was 2020, and I had 15 of my 15 bills signed into law. And I had Democrats co-author every single bill. What I did is when I went up there, I said, I'm going to be doing something. I'm not just going to go up there and say no. So I met with every member, every assembly member, every senator on both sides and said, what are your passions? What's your policy? I found things I could say, oh, I would love to co-author or be part of that. And they were amazed because no one's really ever done that. But they were good bills. And so when I'm like, would you like to jump on this bill? They were all like, because they want to show that they're bipartisan too, some of the districts. So we were able to do that and have just had a great working relationship. I'm excited this year. I have just this year, we have 7 bills. One of them didn't get out of suspense in appropriations today, but the other one did. But 7 bills, already 4 of them have been signed into law by the governor this year. So we got those through. All of our bills, I had co-authors. They were all unanimous across the table. Nobody voted against any of my bills. No one even did not voting. Every single one on both floors. And then they went through. So it works. But you know what? Good policy, common sense. I didn't have opposition, and I worked. And one thing I'm really proud of is my apprenticeship bill this year, because I went out and I worked with groups that normally, you wouldn't consider with Republican groups, but I'm like, we all have things in common. We're never going to all agree. But I mean, I worked with the Teamsters. I worked with the trades. We have an apprenticeship bill now that will make it mandatory in the high schools when they have the career counselors that the 11th and 12th grade orientation, as well as the parents, will now know that this is an option besides a 4-year school, because they're always high school to Harvard. This is high school to hard hats. And so they can have a debt-free education. They can have an incredible skill that they'll have the rest of their life. They start out getting paid with benefits. And that's something the schools weren't pushing. So we were able to get that. And again, across the table was signed by the governor about 3 weeks ago. And I'm really proud of that one. Plus, we've had some great fentanyl bills. In 2020, we were able to get the mandate of Narcan available in schools, in treatment centers, at least 2 doses mandated. And then we also were able to do last year was the fentanyl testing strips that was not available to the public because they were under the category of paraphernalia. So we were able to move that. And that's why you're seeing all these testing strips out there. Also, they have I don't know if you've gone to restaurants and bars, but they have the straws that you can check to see if anyone has put ketamine or the date rape drug into your drink. The straw, then you have a coaster. You can just put a little bit from your drink, from the straw. The coaster will turn a color if there's actually ketamine in it. Wow. So very proud of working across the aisle. And we've gotten some great bills this year. We have our sober living bill, which will now mandate that all of these sober living home sites have to put, if they've had any violations, because before they didn't, and there's a lot of bad actors out there where people are actually dying in there. Our DoorDash bill, right now, they didn't have to really show with DoorDash. You didn't have to see a picture of the person or their name or their car. And unfortunately, there were some rapes that happened. So we were able to work with tech and get them to side with us. And so now the person will have to have a picture of them. It'll be their name and what their car or and their name. So that way, if someone knocks on the door, you can make sure it's them. And because if you're buying alcohol from them, you do have to open the door and show them ID. So that's where that area was there. So we're just proud of that. Domestic violence, we're able to move the restraining order from 10 years to 15 years. So someone can have it up to 15 years, especially if they've got young kids, knowing that they're safe. So we've done a lot with public safety, domestic violence. We just did the thing with the nuclear plants, coastal erosion, which is a big in my district. We were able to work, believe it or not, we got the Coastal Commission. So now if there's any issues pending that has dealing with coastal erosion, they have to actually use an expert such as a geologist or somebody, a developer, when it comes, so that they have the expertise of really, is this something that's good? Because they were kind of making their own decisions, more environmental, and not always looking at the big picture. So we were surprised that one gone through too.
That's amazing. It sounds like you're really tackling issues from all over and coming at it with a problem-solving idea and perspective, and that's really incredible. And I know your district up in North County, San Diego, I'm right next to it in Bonsall, so there's a lot of issues that we see that overlap, and it's really great to know that we have representation in Sacramento that are really solving these issues, because a lot of the times that's not the case. Go ahead.
There's a group up there called the Problem Solvers, about 30 of us. And it's getting bigger and bigger. And I'm really excited about it because we've come together. I brought all of them down here, got them on 3 hover boats, showed them the coastal erosion, showed them where our beaches we were losing, showed them where the water's coming up in the rail, where we had to shut down the rail for 10 months. And they got the understanding now when I'm like, we need funding for sand. We are tourist towns. That's where the money comes in. If we don't have beaches, we don't have revenue. We don't have revenue for public safety or infrastructure. And if we don't have money, the state's going to have to help us, which means you don't get money from your area. So just, again, informing people, and that's what we're going to continue to do.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm originally from the Central Valley, and I had no idea that this was even an issue until I moved here, and I was like, oh my gosh, we have to fix this. And it's really great to know that, especially when you see it, and I know a lot of people every day are seeing these issues on their streets, and if it's homelessness, or if it's the fentanyl issue, or even the domestic violence things, like when people see that, they want solutions, and it's really good to know that Sacramento's fighting to get solutions for that. Being 2 Republican women and having you as a role model for us, being a woman in politics and just in general is really tough, and it's a very male dominated space. There's no secret about that. Do you have any advice for Republican women or just women in politics in general to take on their careers?
You know what? We as women, we can multitask, and that's a good thing. And you know what? I've always been one where in order to be a good leader, you have to be an even better team player. And I managed restaurants. I had my own business, and I would never ask someone to do something I wouldn't do. I have been, washing dishes in the back, from waitress to bartender to, whatever it may be. And so I think that it's always great to get women groups together, though, like especially, and take it outside. But you know what? Don't be afraid to have your voice heard. And when I went up there, the first thing I said is, I want to get involved. How can I get on the floor? And I was named on the lead of going ahead and getting votes, because I had the relationship. So I'm out there going, all right, do we have the votes? I need you to vote. How are you doing? So that was a job but I basically went out. I didn't wait for someone to ask me. I said, I want to learn. I want to be more active. And that's where I found, I think like all of us, you're doing what you're doing because you stepped up and said, you know what, I want to do that. How do I, what do I have to do to get that? And always be kind to the other women. Unfortunately, that doesn't help a lot either. Sometimes, it can actually be the opposite. So always be kind to other women, lift them up. They will lift you up. And again, just always showing that you're a team player, even though you're an incredible leader.
No, we appreciate you touching upon that, because I know for myself, I agree with you. When women on women attack each other, it's honestly like the hardest heartbreak, because we should be empowering each other and lifting each other. There isn't that many of us. So thank you for sharing that. So our last couple of questions, I know you shared incredible success stories about how you're extremely collaborative, especially with your fellow Democrat legislators. You don't have to give names, but we'd love to be able to hear any other success stories that you have, because for San Diego Young Republicans, we've had a growing membership, but I would say one barrier that we have just in general with getting young conservatives activated, they're scared about what their peers think of them, because we did grow up, in particular for millennials and Gen Z, during a presidential cycle where there was a lot of vitriol and just a lot of controversy and a lot of polarization, especially on the college campus level. And so I know even for myself, just even going in the workforce, it was difficult to wonder if I should be out and proud about my politics, which we shouldn't be living in a culture where we should be respectful about each other's beliefs, even if they're different. So we'd love to be able to just know your experience, how it really is working with the Democrat legislators, if it's as hostile as maybe the news, shares about.
Yeah, I think it's kind of twofold, and you definitely touched base. I've been going out there. There's some youth groups that were in my office the other day, and they came in and, and I said, listen, I'm a Republican. And I was the only elected that actually met with them. They said, you're the only one that actually opened the door. It was all the staff when we came in everywhere else. And I said, I really believe in party and politics belong outside. It's all about policy. And I said, and I talked to a lot of young people. I said, and it's so, it's frustrating, but it's sad, because I was able to move from Wisconsin when I was 18, bought my own car. I worked 2 jobs, put myself through school, but I was able to do that. And you know what? It's not factual for you guys right now. It's not attainable. And I'm like, it's not fair that I have the California dream and you don't. And I said, so what we need to do is we need to start working together. And I said, I want to go out there and just talk about policy and say, listen, do you want that California dream? Do you want to be able to live in California, after you get out of school? Because we can make a difference. And this is how we do it. This is how we do it, is by, this type of policy and this policy and this policy. But if you're not going to come and fight with us, it's not going to matter. And they're like, wow. And I said, I'm there for you. And we could work together on policy. And I could see their faces, because I said, you guys have no hope. I said, we've always had the opportunity going, work hard, and you'll be able to get what you dream of. And it's just not there. And I said, we need to be out there with young Republicans. I need your help too, because we were talking, I think, when I was in San Diego, and I'm like, I really want to get some video going out there. And so we can have, like, we're thinking of doing a big bonfire and just something like, invite a bunch of people. Don't talk. I never talk party. I don't talk Republican, Democrat. I talk policy. And saying, all right, what are your dreams? What are your hopes? This is how we're going to do it. But you've got to vote, and you've got to vote. It's not about party. It's about who's going to actually do something for you. Right now, we know who's in control. Are they helping? Is it getting worse or is it getting better? Then let's see, work with us and we can actually prove it, but we need your help. So I think that's what I'm finding. And we're hearing now that all the young people are actually starting to turn Republican, because I think they're seeing that, these policies aren't working. And like you said, there are people, they do not want to be living at home. It's not like, this is just easier. They don't have a choice. And so we can make a difference. And I really want to work hard, and perhaps we can do something with you guys down there. But the other good news is when I got that district in 2022, I went from a 10 plus Republican that was just Orange County. And then they moved me into 55% of North San Diego. I went to a 5+ Dem seat from a 10 plus Republican. It is now a Republican seat by 500. So within the last couple of years, we were able to get out there. And I get in my car. I had 4 brand new tires put on my car, because when I'm home, I go to San Diego. I do stuff in Orange County, but I want people to see that, again, I don't talk about party, and that I'm listening to them, what their concerns are. And the feedback I get going, we need something like this. We need balance. We need someone that's going to actually do something. I don't go there and get a picture and leave. I'm out there handing out backpacks, or there for the diaper drive, or cleaning the beaches. And they're not used to seeing somebody actually, walk the walk. And for us to be able to turn it that many within a couple of years, my staff is fantastic. We respond quickly, and we get the message out. Davies Dispatch has 200,000 contacts on there that we send it out every week, telling them what's happening up in Sacramento, what bills are coming up, how they can help. We do surveys on certain bills saying, tell us, where do you stand on this? And I have so many people stopping me saying, Davies Dispatch, oh my gosh, I love that. It's like, thank you for letting us know what's going on up there, because nobody else does. So we're getting informed. When they see that you actually are doing something, it's amazing how it's not about party. Now there's going to be those on the side. It's, it is what it is, but we are bringing that seat over. And now it's I said, it's a 500 plus, and I'll take that 500 plus when it was, 5 points Democratic just 2 years ago.
Yeah, well, it's really great to hear that people are responding well to your newsletter. As a professional communicator, sometimes when we write those newsletters, it feels like it's going into the void. And it's really great to hear that people are actually, one, reading it, but responding really well. And that's because you're engaging with them. And that's really not normal nowadays. And it's really great to hear you going out to not only Orange County, but also North County, San Diego, and staying at these events, because a lot of times, like you said, they'll come, take a picture, leave there for 10 minutes. They don't actually talk to their constituents and don't really get to know who they're representing, which is too bad, because that's the center of everything that you do, right?
One of the events I was at 2 weeks ago was a Hispanic women's group, about 400 women, and they're all young Hispanic women. And, I got to speak, and I talked about having a mentor and the mentors I had, and that I want to mentor, and that I'm going to be starting a class, probably just maybe it'll be like a weekend or one full day, that anyone that's interested in politics, it could be from campaigns to, a city council position or whatever. And I said, so I would love to have a group, kind of like the Bergeson series that we have down here. And when I was done, I had these young women in their 19, 20, 21, 22 running up to me saying, can we get your card? Here, let me have a picture. We want to do this. We want to do this. And I was just kind of blown away. And like I said, we are really working hard with the Hispanic community as well. And we are out there. We are out there doing book drives, and you name it. And again, going into their neighborhood, because you have to build trust. You can't just send something out. And I know that, and that's what I did up in Sacramento. I work and I keep doing it. So the work pays off. And I see that it is, the pendulum is swinging, and we just need more people like you.
Well, thank you so much. And yeah, we feel it. I mean, our membership has grown, tenfold at this point, which has been really great to see. And it's great to see that it's not only in downtown and South County, it's up in North County, it's in East County, it's all those little pockets throughout San Diego. We're getting people, and they're seeing what's on the news and what's going on, and they don't like it. And it's really great for them to have a home with us. And that's our biggest thing, is making sure that people know that if you're not happy with the Democratic Party, if you're not happy being an independent, you have a home with us. And it doesn't have to be policy all the time. It doesn't have to be, hard truths and, fighting with each other. It can be having just a community that you can go to. Having those debate watch parties is always such a great hit, because you get to meet so many people, and there's something for you all to bond over and talk to and talk through. And I know that those are one of our most popular events, because people love to connect with each other. And right now, they don't really have a home where our party can be.
Yeah, so let's do something like that. I would love to work on it before the election, because I think we can I don't know if there's certain schools or some type of event we can put together where it's just gonna be fun and policy and welcoming. And it's like, do you want to, lifting them up, a good message, knowing that don't give up, there's hope. And again, I always like that, going, you deserve to have the California dream. We're going to tell you how you can.
Yeah, I love that. I'm down.
Yeah, I'm totally down. Executive decision. Let's do
it. Where can people follow you? Where can we see all the things that you're doing? How can people sign up for the Davies Dispatch?
Oh, great. You can go to like Laurie Davies, or Assemblymember Laurie Davies, and then it'll be like sign up. But my campaign site has it too. So if you go to Davies, forca.com, you can go on there and you can say sign up for Davies Dispatch. We've got like Instagram and everything like this. But when we need help, like right now, SB 94 died it didn't go anywhere last year. What that does is, and they're going to try to throw it on the floor, that will go release the most heinous of the heinous criminals that have life, that have life in prison, and will allow them to actually go before a judge and have a new trial. And if they get out, they get out. I mean, these are, the victims right now, the families. It's insane that they would allow them to even have this choice to be able to go before there. So the progressives are working really hard to try to pull that. And so I would love to have you guys make calls and emails. It's pretty simple. And when we get done, I'll send you the list of who to contact, because it's going to be those that actually supported it in public safety last year. So, they're not Republicans, put it that way, but it's very progressive, the left. And we need people to start calling them and saying, you know what, vote no. And I also want to say this, when you guys contact Sacramento, I represent all California. Just because you don't live in my district doesn't mean my vote actually still is going to affect you. So if they say, well, where do you live? And they're like, well, you need to call your assembly member or your senator. It's not our district. Ask them if when they vote, are they voting for the entire state? Is this a state bill or is this just a regional bill? And they're going to say, well, it's a state bill. Like, then they are my member because their vote will affect me. And it usually kind of quiets them down. And it's like, so you might want to take this information, but I'll send it to you. But you guys, this would be a great thing to help us shut this down. It's the last bad thing, really, that we can actually do.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Assemblymember, for giving us the time. We know that you're very busy, not only with helping put forth great legislation in Sacramento, but also running for re-election. And that's why San Diego Young Republicans, once again, we're really proud to re-endorse your re-election. Looking forward to being able to help with volunteer deployments. We're in the process of planning all of that, and you're one of the candidates that we're looking forward to supporting to make sure you make it across the finish line in November. So that's all for us. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, we also have our office, which will be opening very soon. We'll get that information on to. It's in Oceanside. We're going to share it with Matt Gunderson, and also any of the local candidates that are running, so that we're working together as a team. So we'd love to have you guys come to the grand opening, and I'll let me know, or Ashley, who's my campaign manager, she can get that information over to you.
Perfect. And we'll include it in our newsletter that I hope everyone reads. And we'll share all that out to our social media. So make sure you're following us. And thank you so much again. And we really appreciate it.
Wonderful. And I know this is kind of silly, but I know you had a question about what's my favorite song.
Yeah. What is your favorite song?
Because it's, I don't know if you guys know Phil Wickham. He's a Christian singer. But he's got the song is called "The Battle Belongs to You," and so when we're campaigning, I mean, it's like this: bad days, good days, and you have to stay focused and just do what you're doing. Don't listen to everything that's going out there. But Phil Wickham is so great, and it's you ever feeling down, or you're like, God, I just can't do this. Listen to "The Battle Belongs to You." It's moves it. It's fast. It's moving, and it's energetic.
Thank you for that. I'm definitely adding that to my worship playlist on Spotify.
Thank you so much, everyone. And you know what? Thank you all for letting me serve you up at the state.
No, thank you so much, Assemblymember.
Thank you.
Bye, guys. Thank you.